This conspiracy theorist goes from selling candy to calling basically everyone that did not agree with him a communist. Even writing a book stating that President Dwight Eisenhower was a conscious, dedicated agent of the communist conspiracy. He starts a group that peddles this fear around the country. Songs were written mocking their communist under every bed mentality. They attacked some of the greatest Americans in our country who worked to bring needed reforms, and their conspiracy-driven mentality is what still drives them today. Yeah, you know who it is. In this episode, we do a deep dive into the John Birch Society. Stay tuned. Welcome to All Things Article 5, where we do a deep dive into the Constitution's amending provision to break through all of the misinformation that's out there to get to the truth. Whether you are an Article 5 activist like myself or new to this subject and want to learn more, this is the place to be. I guarantee you do not want to miss a single episode. So please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you're notified as the new videos get dropped every week. Listen, sit back and join me as we learn from the past, get engaged in the present in order to change the future. This one's going to be kind of tough. In 1958, Robert Welch retired from the candy business that was started by his brother to start the John Birch Society. Now, some of their tasteful sweets you may be familiar with, like Sugar Daddies, Sugar Babies, Junior Mints, and Pom Poms. He probably should have stayed in the candy business. Welch named the society after missionary John Birch, who heroically served in World War II and was a captain serving with the OSS when he was killed by Chinese communists shortly after the end of the war at the age of 27. Welch, from the very beginning, was conspiratorial and published a manuscript titled The Politician, which he claimed that Dwight Eisenhower was a communist agent. The official kickoff to the John Birch Society was a 2-day seminar he held in Indianapolis, and in attendance were 11 business leaders that he invited. This meeting was a presentation by Welch of his book titled The Blue Book, which is the foundation to the John Birch Society and is provided to all new members. We'll be looking into this in an upcoming episode. From the very beginning, this group latched onto all kinds of conspiracies, and not only did Welch call Eisenhower a communist agent, but their spokesman, John McManus, said that President Carter was, quote, a second echelon member, unquote, of the grand conspiracy, and that Ronald Reagan must be a lackey because only those who obey the conspirators can get nominated by the major parties. Welch had to explain those comments by McManus and said he was only speaking for himself and not on behalf of JBS. Let me provide you something more current to show you how far out this group is when it comes to the conspiratorial myths to distort our history. In this one episode called Myths and Facts, or Myths versus Facts, JBS CEO Art Thompson makes the outlandish claim that Thomas Jefferson was a traitor. Here he is in his own words.
Now, what I'm about to say will shock some people, but stay with me. It will iron itself out. Don't get in a big tither. This is history that has been purged out of American history since the Civil War. To say that Jefferson was a traitor would be an understatement. On more than one occasion, Jefferson worked to destroy the Washington government from within, the cabinet that he was part of, and later as a private citizen, attempting with members of the conspiracy to separate Western territory away from the United States. It was Randolph who, at the opening of what became the Constitutional Convention, offered the Virginia plan to the assembled to write a new constitution. Rather than follow their instruction to amend the Articles of Confederation, the delegates decided to write an entirely new constitution. Now, in other words, the whole idea for having a runaway convention came out of the forces that were to ally themselves with the French Revolution. Some of the same people who proposed a new constitution were those who helped in the fight later to oppose the Constitution.
In an article by Wall Builders titled The John Birch Society versus Jefferson, you can see how this claim by Thompson is completely false. You will also notice that the tactics made about Jefferson by his opponents painting him as some traitor are the very same tactics used by the John Birch Society today to attack good Americans that are trying to reform our government. I highly recommend you check out the Wall Builders article. What I find the most disturbing about the John Birch Society is how they used these tactics of fear, lies, and hate to oppose the civil rights movement in the 1960s. It was shameful how they lied about Martin Luther King, who was fighting for equal rights, and labeled him a communist who was out to destroy the nation. But this is the standard MO of the John Birch Society. Their extremism of the day made them an easy target to mock, and Bob Dylan wrote a song titled Talking John Birch Paranoid Blues, which is absolutely hysterical. The Chad Mitchell Trio wrote a song about them, as did Tom Paxton. Both of them titled their songs The John Birch Society. Check them out sometime. The lyric to Paxton's song states, quote, Eisenhower is a commie, Robert Welch has told us so. Little Caroline's subversive, all these secret spies must go. Robert Welch must be our leader. He will see our country through, paddling across the broad Potomac in a red birch bark canoe. It's great. Welch and his society members opposed the U.S. Supreme Court's Brown versus Board of Education decision that ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional and started a campaign to impeach Chief Justice Earl Warren. They fought against allowing children of all races to attend public schools together. Just completely sick. They produced a movie titled Anarchy USA to spread these lies to the American people. In coming episodes, we will be exposing their lies because they have not changed since day one. We are going to focus our attention on their extreme opposition to the states proposing amendments to the Constitution designed to rein in our runaway federal government. Now, please let that sink in. They want people to be fearful of the very process the framers gave us to protect our liberties and freedoms. In my book, that makes them unpatriotic, constitutional hypocrites. Their runaway convention delusion is our runaway government reality. In our next episode, we are going to take a closer look at the very structure of JBS and wait till you see and hear this. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and please like our Facebook page, All Things Article 5, and share it. If you like these videos, please feel free to like the thumbs up so it gets more traction out there on the internet. We need to get this information out as far and to as many people as possible. With All Things Article 5, I'm Ken Quinn. Remember, experience must be our only guide. Fear will paralyze us. So fear not. Let's have some fun, and the truth will prevail. Till next time.